Sadgurunatha Charanam Jai Jai Sachidananda Charanam Jai Jai Kadapa Sri Paramahamsa Sachidananda Yogeeshwar Maharaj Ki Jai. So, first of all, kindly accept my apologies for not doing much in English, and I'm not going to promise that I'm going to give more, but I thought this particular chapter about passion in this English volume is a bit more important, and it encompasses the entire angles of this book. It covers the entire phenomena, and it's the most important. I would say it's like when you serve a plantain leaf meal, it's like you keep all the curries and other accompaniments without having the rice served on the leaf, right? So this chapter is having the utmost importance as that of the rice that is yet to be served on the leaf. So I thought, let me quickly talk about this. It may go a little longer or well within the 10 minutes, I'm not sure. But be carefully listening to this, and one who practices what is given in this chapter understands the crux of it and put that into practice. Rest, everything will fall in place. Everything, I mean it, right? So it's all about passion. Swamy talks about what is the greatest deluder in the world is the passion, right? He calls himself this particular passion as a cupid, that lives, enshrines in the innermost corner of the bodies of any living beings, and also that creates a maddening love between a man and a woman or male and a female. Makes them blind to their true interest of acquiring spiritual wisdom, and also entangles them, right? So Swami says that desire is this mighty weapon, and it's the greatest influence and makes captives of all of us, even though the body grows old. So these kind of low-level desires of the mind is not only restrained with the youngest or teen or adult. It is also with the old age people. It grows with our age, is what Swami clearly says, that the one who does not know how to control his senses, one who does not control the desires, it keeps growing stronger with age. Desires may be conquered only through cessation of mental activity. Cessation of mental activity. Please underline this. Cessation of mental activity is nothing but the encompassing area of Manonigraha. It is only when the external objects lose their attraction, or in other words, when the senses are not allowed to be bewitched by them. Right? Desires arise only when the mind sees the beauty or pleasure outside. So you may ask me now, are you saying not to see anything outside? Are you saying don't get engaged in something very nice and don't see them? No. Swami doesn't say that. Right? For example, he goes on to give a beautiful example. Let's talk about a ruby stone here, right? So we should definitely give up the false notion that the external objects can give us pleasure. For example, if a ruby be rightly perceived as but a kind of stone, it's just a stone, then how can the mind entertain a fancy for it? Do you understand? if you know the underlying what that is, it's just a stone. It's like a stone, that a jelly stone, like that is another type of stone that has a different color and characteristic. That's about it. When you see things like that, how can the mind entertain a fancy for it and desire to possess it? Right? But once the idea enters that it is so precious, oh my God, it's so fine looking, it's fantastic, I would like to own it, then we can never resist the temptation, isn't it? And then the consequent desire to secure it will automatically arise. So, this example one should keep in mind very clearly and start practicing when you see a thing just as a thing with its true nature and origin, and not give much of an importance to its lusher characters. Those are all just going to go away, right? It's going to drift your mind. It's going to pull away from the path where you want to go and trouble your senses. Now, Arjuna, there is a quote from Bhagavad Gita. I must read this without fabricating it so that it doesn't lose its value. All right. So, in the form of a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is praying Lord Krishna and asking him, why is it that you said that to shake off wrath, greed and other passions, the mind and the senses should be brought under control? Then Lord Krishna says, is not the whole world enslaved by desire, Arjuna? Desires arises in buddhi, through the mind. Buddhi is arivu. The senses, what are the senses? Sense objects, your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, skin. These form the channels through which the desires for sense objects travel to the buddhi. I think it's very clear, right? So the sense objects are the pathways. They form the channels through which the desires for those sense objects are traveling to our buddhi. Hence, have these three been called the seeds of desire. All right? So it's key to understand that. And also, Arjuna saying is from the mind. Krishna says, is it not then the mind a seat of desire? Arjuna says, yes. And then Krishna says, well, which is it that fulfills the desire? Arjuna says, the buddhi, reason. Then Krishna says, is it not then the buddhi is also a seat of desire? Arjuna says, yes. Then Sri Krishna says, what will happen if a man do not secure his object of desire? Here is an interesting thing, right? Arjuna says, he will get angry with whoever may stand in the way of his getting it. Like, for example, I am running this business. I want this business to be secured and go very well. And somebody is coming in between, claiming that I would want to own this, or I would bring in much more gold and create much more jewelries and make this as a much better jewelry shop. So the person who is having a desire of whom he wants to run immediately gets into the angry, right? So angry mode. That is what Swamy refers here as with whoever may stand in the way of his getting it. So Krishna says this getting angry is called wrath. Are not then the buddhi, the mind and the senses that contribute to wrath? Arjuna says yes. So Krishna says, will he have entertained a desire for the object that he has not seen it with his eyes? Arjuna says no. That's it. Over, right? So beautifully Lord Krishna makes or answers Arjuna's questions. This is called a coaching method. So he is asking the right questions to Arjuna and making him feel what is the root cause for the desire, which is the seat of desire. and why and what is the importance of controlling the senses. Ultimately, is advising us to control the senses. So he goes on to preach that in Bhagavad Gita. If you read Bhagavad Gita, you will get this in elaborated way. But our Swami here has given it in a crux, so you don't have to run around everywhere. So you know and you get the right amount of information, what is needed for you. So what you have to do first is to control the eyes, the nose, the ears, the mouth and the skin, the 5 external sense actions. Restrain the mind from going along with these senses. How do I achieve it, sir? It's easier said than done. You will say it in 10 minutes video and audio and go away. Somebody will post it in the YouTube. How can I do that? Yes, everything is tough in life, isn't it? Constant exercise of such restrainment will paralyze their activity. Paralyze whose activity? Between the sense objects and the mind, buddhi, in between the desire, the entire channel, you need to disconnect in between. Only if there is a plug plugged into the socket, switch on, the power comes, right? Now, Swami is asking to do it in a gradual way. First, switch off. You cannot immediately pull the plug. You never know what will happen. First, switch off. Go to a calm and composed state of mind. Pull the plug. Try and disconnect the desire. Go to the next level. We have spoken about it enough and more, umpteen number of times. It's all about practice, 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 my dear friends. We have heard and seen enough. So, going on listening and seeking and reading and learning is not enough, and it's not going to take you anywhere. Again, I'm telling you, it's only going to make you as a learned person, a person with a lot of knowledge. And if there is no practice, there is no sadhana, and we are nothing without sadhana. So my emphasis here is, please do the sadhana given in this book. I would say you listen to 1 chapter, enough. 2 chapter, enough. 3 chapter, more than enough. Stop it there. Don't read more. Don't listen more. Go practice. That practice will open up a lot of channels into yourself. And many and more number of questions that arises in your mind will be automatically answered with the help of the Prapancha Shakti. The cosmos energy will automatically come and start giving you answer, rather going on to listening something. It is needed. I am not warding off saying no to listening or reading, but keep them to a certain extent. If you recall the Nidithyasana, right? Smarana, Manana, Nidithyasana. Learning and understanding, thinking about what you learned and putting into practice about what you learned. That part is called sadhana, which is very difficult. And most of us are, I would say, crudely say, lazy enough to do that. Meaning, you want to do it, but my work doesn't allow it. I can't do this. If I do it, that will get affected. If I do this, this will get affected. And you will never be a great traveler in the spiritual path. Trust me. Take a plunge somewhere. Make a decision. I will not lie. I will follow the Satyanishta, come what may, for the next 1 week. Follow it. That will give a fantastic way forward to you, and it will take you. It may change. Until you venture into it, you will not know. You will only keep thinking and worried about things unless you practice. Go, venture for it. There is a way. Kadapa Swami will be with you. Right? So let me go on to further in this chapter. So the Swami very clearly says, control the sense objects, right? For that itself, we have number of ways. One is Mauna Vrata. And when you say Mauna Vrata, people say, oh, Mauna Vrata is not just stop talking and you will have to have Mano Mauna, blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's the ultimate aim. That's the ultimate state where you want to go. But before getting there, first, like switching off, switch off button, switch off button. Remember the switch off button? Yes, that is what is Vak Maunam. Shut up and be quiet. Practice that. That is in Tamil called Pulanadakam, right? So one of the control of the senses. Try and stop talking for half a day if you can, 3 hours, 5 hours, or 8 hours, like 12 hours, 24 hours. Raise that bar. Just keep quiet. The moment you keep quiet, what happens is your thought processes stop. Unnecessary thinkings will stop. You will become calm. And automatically that will lead you to achieve the manomauna, the silencing of your thoughts. Eventually, what you see will not matter to you a big thing. Even if a diamond crown kept in front of you, when your mind, the manomauna is obtained, the diamond crown will not be a thing in front of you. You just see it and you just walk off. Just the observation, like how your Atma, our Atma is doing. Just observe, Shakshi Matra, just observe. Like that, your senses will automatically fall into control. And another fantastic example, my Guruji and Shri Sai Baba and many of people have taught as easy way to do it. Controlling the taste, right? You have sambar, rasam, sweet, vada, papadam, payasam, or biryani, whatever it is, right? You eat to keep energy in the body. Yeah, sometimes we eat for sensual pleasures. But here the mission is to reduce the sensual pleasures, right? You want to bring the sense objects in your control. So, mix every damn thing in one plate. Put rasam, payasam, vada, appalam. Might sound gross, but it's one of the easiest way to get out of one of the pleasurable things that you go through. Just mix everything together and eat. You won't get addicted to one thing and just move on. That's the simplest of the simple practice many of our gurus have told us to do. That's the easiest way to practice. If you ask me, you're saying all these things, how do I practice? And this is how you practice. And it is tough, yes, I understand. You have to practice if you want to have a control. See, senses are like major things. They are like, senior vice presidents in a big corporate company. If you want to control them, don't you have to put some efforts? You have to do a fantastic job to be in their good books, right? It's as equivalent as that. I don't know how else I can connect and give an example to you. Okay, so Swamy also goes on to say that, that's a beautiful other examples, like senses are not so easy. It comes birth after birth after birth. What we see here as a subtle, physical body is, physical or gross body is the one that is just going away when you die. But our subtle body, right, Sukshma Sariram, astral body continues along with our Atma. That is what we always refer as karma and vasanas comes together, right? So that keeps coming with us. That is coming with us. It's coming with us. So that is why the senses are so strong. Swamy goes on to give fantastic examples like you go and just give 100 rupees note to 100 rupees is nothing in today's world, right? So give a 500 rupees note to a 1-year-old child who doesn't know anything, just takes the money very carefully and hold it very strong. Where does that come from? It's not that 1-year-old will know what's the value of 500 rupees, but then the previous janmas of vasanas that has dealt with money, right? So that is clinging on somewhere. That is where it just holds the money. That's a beautiful, practical, live example. And he goes on to give another example of like a gentleman who's having 2 sons who, one of them studies so hard but fails in the examination. Another one doesn't study, just recreation, fun, playing around, but just scores very well. That is also one of the classic examples of the Purva Janma, where the person who studied very well and he has that maturity to understand that vasana, that subtle body has that energy and the capacity just by looking at something, grasping and just going and getting good grades. Whereas the other one which failed was an illiterate, and this is the first janma where he's attempting to study. So these are all the careful things one must observe, which happens in our day-to-day lives. So you can easily connect to all these things, right? These are called Purva Vasanas. So this continuity of existence with all the accumulated treasure of experience and knowledge of the innumerable births of each soul is what is technically called Purva Vasana. Right? And another example, it's a beautiful one. With this, I would like to close this because I think it's going a little longer. People may lose span of control of listening. So similar is the case with emancipation. For example, when you do some sadhana, right? In this janma, you're doing a sadhana. What happens? You may ask, I do so much sadhana and I die. What for then? This doesn't go away. You die, only your physical gross body goes and your Atma, Vasanas, Purva Vasanas, everything is going to continue with your Atma. It's along with everything, your Atman, it's going to enter another fetus and you're going to come back and you're going to start from where you left. A beautiful example with my own life I would like to give and close it. So when I went to one of my gurus who's like 96 years old right now maybe, he's a Sri Vidya guru, he's like he will look like a Ambal. So I went to ask for a Sri Vidya Diksha from him. So he wasn't giving that to me. Like he made me run around. He was asking a lot of questions. Why do you need it? What are you going to do with that? And he was testing all my patience and understanding and spiritual knowledge and whatsoever. So they say that Sri Vidya was given to people only. The Guru will give Sri Vidya only if they are convinced and they will know that will grow from there. So they will not seed the Sri Vidya into a desert where nothing will grow. So they will evaluate. They say they will give their daughter their property and everything, but not the Sri Vidya. So it is of utmost importance. So I'm just giving you the context so you understand where I'm coming to. So there is a specific steps, like first Ganapati Japa is given, then Bala is given, then it goes on like the Shadakshari, Sodashi, Panchadasi, Dasamahavidya. It goes on like that in different grades. It is also, a form of raising the Kundalini. It's a Shakti path basically. Right? So when I went there, it was not giving at all. And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, suddenly one day he called me, okay, you come over, well, let's talk. And then I was talking to him and then he said, okay, you take a note. I will start your Diksha now. And he started with the second stage of the Diksha. And I was asking him, Guruji, people say that it starts from Ganapati, right? You're suddenly giving me Bala Diksha. So what is it supposed to be? He just gave one weird, strange look at me and said, just do what Guru says. I said, okay. I shut my mouth, made a note of it, came back. And then the next time I go again to meet him, I was very curious again, asking him, can you please explain me why this has happened? Then he says, these things come with janma after janma after janma. It is there in your vasanas. A guru will see through you. When he sees you, he is not seeing your physical body. He is seeing your all chakras. He is seeing all your, the wavelength and the frequency of what sadhana you've been doing. So he said, in your Purva Janma, you've already taken a Ganapati and you've completed it. Now you're entitled to get the Bala. So you just go do it. So this is a practical, classical example. So when I read in books a lot, I always used to contemplate, is this true? Is this how it happens? But when it happens in my own life, I have no more questions to ask. And I thought this example is not to boast, and it's just to give a convincing feeling for a person who is listening. Yes, indeed, what our Kadapa Swamy is saying is the ultimate truth, right? And I hope the sadhana will continue. Thank you so much for listening so far.